Good evening, students. In the last class, several days back, we have talked about bimolecular reaction kinetics in a gas phase. But at present, we now discuss kinetics of bimolecular reactions in solutions. They are also here also will discuss with transition state theory TST. This in this TST theory of bimolecular reactions in solutions, we see that because the reactant reactant species are dissolved in solutions, statistical thermodynamic treatments cannot be properly done because the partition functions for the reactants and the activated complex cannot be properly found as the solvent interacts a lot with the reactants or the activated complex. So, in this case, we leave behind the statistical thermodynamic treatment and go only for the ordinary thermodynamics treatment and using kinetics and using concepts such as activities and activity coefficients. Here also we consider the bimolecular reaction between two species. These species may be molecules or ions. In the case of solutions, the same kind of bimolecular reaction, A plus B giving product P. It also similarly hypothesized to go through an activated complex C star in a rapid pre-equilibrium. As per the scheme, A plus B, reactants A plus B gives the C star, which is the activated complex. This C star finally going to the getting converted to the product P by an unimolecular process. The first process, A plus B giving C star activated complex C star is a an equilibrium process. So here we similarly get the rate is equal to the constant K star into the rate is equal to constant K star into the concentration of the activated complex C star, where the now we in solutions we need to take care of the activity of C star other than the concentration. The activity of C star we know is given by the equilibrium relation in solution, that as if A and B are in equilibrium with the activated complex C star, so we have activity of C star, the product, divided by activity of reactant A into activity of reactant B, giving the equaling the constant Ka, the thermodynamic activated complex, thermodynamic equilibrium constant. We call it Ka, or in this case Ka star, because we are naming it K star here because it is about the formation of the activated complex C star. So these two relations, that rate is equal to unimolecular constant K star into concentration of C star, square bracket of C star on one hand, and the activity ratio equaling the equilibrium constant, activity of C star divided by activity of A into activity of B equaling K A star. These two relations can be combined by noting that the activity of C star is equal to concentration of C star, that is square bracket of C star into gamma of C star, where gamma of C star is the activity coefficient of C star. And as per the kinetics for the reaction A plus B giving P, the rate is equal to the the rate is equal to the observed rate constant K2 into concentration of A, that is square bracket of A, into concentration of B, that is square bracket of B. So rate R is equal to K2, observed rate constant K2. So rate R is equal to observed rate constant K2 into square bracket A into square bracket B. Now we get rate is equal to, on the other hand we also get rate is equal to K star into square bracket C star is equal to K star into activity of C star by gamma activity coefficient of C star is equal to unimolecular rate constant K star into activity into equilibrium constant Ka star into activity of AA into activity of B, which is AB, divided by gamma C star is equal to equilibrium constant Ka star unimolecular rate constant small k star into concentration of A into concentration of B into activity of A into activity of B divided by activity of C star is equal to, this equals the unimolecular rate constant K star into thermodynamic rate equilibrium constant Ka star divided by K gamma star, where into square bracket of A, concentration of A into concentration of B, thus giving the now this K gamma star is the ratio of the activity coefficients, just as Ka star, that equilibrium constant, is activity of ratios of the ratio of activities of the products and reactants. Ka equilibrium constant is ratio of activities of the products and reactants, and K gamma star is ratio of activity coefficients gamma of C star divided by gamma of A into gamma of B. So we see that this rate is equal to K star into Ka star divided by K gamma star into square bracket of A into square bracket of B. Whereas rate is equal to K2, the observed rate constant K2 into square bracket of A into square bracket of B, where square bracket means concentrations. So we finally find that this K2 must equal K star, that is the unimolecular rate constant small k star into thermodynamic equilibrium constant capital Ka star divided by the activity coefficient ratio K gamma star. So this equation, small k2, observed rate constant K2 is equal to small k star capital Ka star divided by capital K gamma star. This equation we get, this is given in blue shading here. Now we come to a relation that this when K gamma star equals 1, in some hypothetical situation, if K gamma star equals 1, then the rate constant K2 will become K star into Ka star. Now, under what situation the activity coefficient ratio K gamma star equals 1? Let us see. When the activity coefficients K gamma I of the reactant A, of the reactant B, of the activated complex C star equals all 1, then K gamma star is equal to activity coefficient of C star divided by activity coefficients of A and B. That will also equal 1. Now, such a situation arises if in case of a solution, if the concentration of all the solutes are practically 0 or approaching 0. In such a situation, the concentration of all the solutes is practically 0, and the reaction mixture is essentially the solvent. However, one thing is interesting in this case is that the concentration of not only the reacting substances and the activated complex and the products, etc., needs to be practically 0 for the activity coefficient to be 1. But also that the concentration of any unreactive solute which is not taking part in the reaction A plus B giving products is not taking part in that any unreactive solute, this activity coefficient will depend on that only also. So K gamma star will be practically equal to 0 in a situation where the reactant solutes as well as non-reacting solutes, if any, are all in practically zero concentration or approaching zero concentration. So under such a situation, the rate constant K2, observed rate constant K2, will equal the limiting rate constant we call is K2 naught, where the concentration of all solutes including unreactive solutes practically approaches practically zero. Then in that situation the rate constant K2 will equal the limiting rate constant K2 naught. Now when this rate constant equals limiting rate constant, then we know that K gamma star, the coefficient or activity coefficients as well as the ratio of the activity coefficients K gamma star will equal 1. Accordingly, we see that K2 star will be equal to K star into small K2 star will be equal to small K star into capital K star divided by 1, where 1 stands for K gamma star. So K2 naught, we see that K2 naught, observed rate constant K2 naught is equal to unimolecular rate constant K star, small K star, into thermodynamic equilibrium constant capital K star. So K2 naught is equal to limiting rate constant K2 naught is equal to small K star into capital K star. This we get, this we write in the this we get, and then this means that this observed rate constant K2 in a situation where the concentrations are not zero, under that condition K2, observed rate constant K2, will be this limiting hypothetical rate constant K2 naught divided by K gamma star. So this we again write in blue shadings, K2 is equal to K2 naught divided by K gamma star. Now we understood what this K2 naught, the limiting rate constant, means that it is the hypothetical or approaching rate constant where the concentration of all the solutes including reacting and non-reacting solutes approaches zero. If the solution practically becomes like solvent, pure solvent, then under that condition K gamma star will be 1 and K2 will equal K2 naught, the limiting rate constant. Now let us note that this, for a given reaction, this limiting rate constant K2 naught will depend only on the temperature, the solvent, and somewhat also on the pressure, but are independent of the solute concentrations as given in Levine. But on the other hand, the parameter K gamma star, the ratio of the activity coefficients, depends particularly for ionic solutions mainly on the solute concentrations and also the temperature. Mainly it depends on the solute concentrations K gamma star, whereas K2 naught is independent of the solute concentrations. Now let us note that this for ionic solutions, the deviation of K gamma star from unity will be very prominent. It will be given by some particular expressions depending on the ionic concentrations of the ions present in it, including non-reacting ions. This is interesting. It will this activity coefficient K gamma star will come through the concept of the ionic strength, which is a effective concentration of ions in the solution, in the electrolyte solution. This ionic strength, how it is defined and how does K gamma star depends on it. So how does K2 depends on the ionic strength. The observed rate constant depends on the ionic strength, and observed rate constant depends on the concentration of the ions, ionic electrolytes in it, salts in it. That will come into in the next part. Thank you. Yeah, welcome back. Then in the next part about the deviation from deviation of this K gamma star from unity for ionic solutions. It's quite mathematical. Mathematical expressions are there, not so much conceptual. So let us see. And now we first need to define or consider one term, the ionic strength. Ionic strength is a expression, a parameter that tells us how different will be the activity coefficients, how, or in other words, how different will be the activity from concentration for ions in a solution of ions. So reactive or unreactive ions, in the considered ions or other ions, all comes together in the ionic strength. Suppose we have considered a solution of potassium chloride, ammonium nitrate, calcium bromide, all together. Then the ionic strength will have ionic strength will be a parameter that considers the concentrations of all the ions in the solution resulting from this combination of electrolytes, and it gives a net measure, overall measure of the concentration of the ions. In ionic strength, as we see from the formula, the ions with higher charges, +2, -2, +3, -3, will matter more with the same concentration, same molarity. And then ions with low charge, such as +1, -1, so Na plus Cl minus sort of ions, compared to Na plus Cl minus sort of ions, calcium Ca2 plus SO4 2 minus, etc. ions will matter more in ionic strength. This formula of ionic strength is I is equal to half into summation over all the ions, sigma over I, we write half. There is a half in ionic strength definition. I is equal to half into summation over all the ions I into charge of I Zi square. Charge just means the +2 charge for calcium ion, or -2 charge for SO4 minus ion, -1 charge for Cl minus ion, that sort of. And so this I is equal to half into summation over all the ions I into Zi square, that is square of the charges, into Ci by C naught, where Ci is the molarity or molality of the ith ion. So we need to consider the from the electrolyte molarity, we need to consider the molarity of each ions. Then we need to sum over the molarities into Zi squares, the charge squares, and then this summation we need to multiply with half. So this gives the ionic strength. And now for every species, whether species A, species B, or species C star, the activity coefficient gamma I, gamma of the ith species, in the aqueous, in the solution, in the solution of ions, in the electrolyte solution, the activity of a species with charge Zi. We are talking about activity of an ionic species. Suppose we are considering a reaction between two ions, as I told you, persulfate ion S2O8 minus, persulfate ion reacting with iodide ion, I minus ion. So there are two ions reacting, if we think of. Then for each of these reacting ions, the activity coefficient gamma I of the ion will be given by this Debye-Hückel limiting law. Debye-Hückel limiting law, it gives the gamma I as log to the base 10, log 10 of gamma I is equal to minus a zi square I to the power half. So this is as per Atkins, Levine will have a much complicated formula which we do not require, and it is he is alone almost. This blue shaded formula you need to remember. Log 10 of gamma I is equal to minus a constant a which is around 0.5 into zi square into I to the power half, that is square root of the I, which where we know that I includes contributions from all the ions, that particular ion and the other reacting ion and all other non-reacting ions. It influences I. So this I comes in the square root form in this log to the base gamma I expression. So log to the base gamma I becomes significant, much less than 0. It becomes something negative. So gamma I becomes too smaller compared to 1, something like 0.5, 0.3. That sort of values of activity coefficients is common in ionic solutions because of this Debye-Hückel limiting law. This limiting law, however, is valid only for quite low concentration, something quite less than 0.1, ionic strength 0.1 or lesser. For higher, it will be more complicated, which will not go through. Then Levine gives one, I told you. So, all these things you know. C naught is the unit concentration, as we have learned, and Ci is the concentration in molarity, or sometimes in molality, mole per dm cube or mole per kg, and Zi is the charge of +1, -1, +2, -2, that sort of. Ci by C naught becomes dimensionless because C naught is the unit concentration such as 1 molar or 1 molal. So Ci by C naught becomes just the number reflecting the molarity. Suppose if concentration Ci is equal to 0.1 molar, then Ci by C naught will become 0.1 only. And A is a constant. At 25 degrees centigrade, the value of A is 0.51, or exactly speaking 0.509 at 25 degrees centigrade for aqueous solutions. So do a numerical problem there. For a 0.1 molar NaCl solution, find that I is equal to 0.1 and gamma plus into gamma minus will be equal to 10 to the power minus 0.161. You find out why it is so as given by this formula, Debye-Hückel limiting law formula. Now above this Debye-Hückel limiting law, when applied for the pre-equilibrium, A plus B in equilibrium with C star. Now the charges of A, B and C are C star are ZA, ZB and ZC star. ZC star is equal to however ZA plus ZB, because in the activated complex will have all the charges of the two reacting substances. Accordingly, K gamma star will be equal to ZC star, gamma C star. K gamma star will be gamma C star into gamma A, gamma B, giving log 10 of K gamma star will be in this log 10 of gamma C minus log 10 of gamma A minus log 10 of gamma B. We put the Debye-Hückel limiting law in each of these, log 10 of gamma I, log 10 of gamma C, log 10 of gamma A, log 10 of gamma B. We put the Debye-Hückel limiting law minus A Zi square I square root of I. In minus A, it's quite symmetrical, minus A Zi square and square root of I. So in this relation we apply with considering that Z of C star is equal to ZA plus ZB. If we do that, then finally we get a relation as per A plus B whole square, the famous relation A plus B whole square. If we apply, then we finally get a relation that this K gamma star, log 10 of K gamma star is equal to minus 2 ZA ZB A into square root of I, where A is that constant around 0.51 for 25 degrees centigrade water solutions. Now from relation K2 is equal to K2 star by K gamma star, we see that
log 10 of K2 is equal to log 10 of K2 naught minus log 10 of K gamma star. But log 10 of K gamma star is minus 2 ZA ZB A square root of I. Accordingly, we get log 10 of K2 is equal to log 10 of K2 naught plus 2 ZA ZB A square root of I. This is an interesting relation, an experimentally verifiable relation, and strange that giving us a strange corollary, strange looking corollary, that rate constant of a reaction between two ions A and B with charges ZA and ZB will be influenced in this way, that the log of the observed rate constant in a situation where the concentrations of the ions, those ions and other unreactive uninvolved ions in the solution, in the concentrations of those all the ions, how does it matter? We can see it. So we see that log 10 of the rate constant, observed rate constant, is equal to log 10 of the hypothetical rate constant, in which the concentrations are all practically zero, of all ions are practically zero. And that rate constant log K2 naught, log 10 of K2 is equal to log 10 of that hypothetical rate constant, limiting rate constant K2 naught, plus 2 into charge of A ion into charge of reacting B ion into constant A into square root of ionic strength I. So the logarithm of the observed rate constant will be changing with the increase of ionic strength I as per this relation. This tells us something like this, that if we do a reaction between two ions which have very low concentration between them. Now, if we do this in pure, if we dissolve these two ions in pure water and perform the reaction at very low concentration, then we'll get the rate constant log of we get the rate constant K2 naught. So this now in presence of other ions, in presence of unreactive ions even, and other salts. So if we put more salts in it, unreactive salts, suppose if we're talking about reaction between persulfate and iodide, if we put ammonium nitrate or magnesium nitrate, then the rate constant will greatly change. The rate constant will change as per the relation log of the observed rate constant is equal to log of the limiting rate constant plus 2 into charge of A, charge of B into constant A into ionic strength square root. This equation is also known as the Bronsted-Jerome equation. And we have seen that this another reaction, this reaction, another equation, this K2 is equal to K2 naught by K gamma star. Levine told that this is Bronsted-Jerome equation, and our most of the books, most of the internet study materials will tell us that this log of K2, dependence of log of K2 with ionic strength I, square root of ionic strength, this relation, this blue shaded relation at the bottom, this is the Bronsted-Jerome equation. As K2 naught is a constant, we just see for a ionic reaction in solution between two charged species A and B, the observed rate constant significantly depends on the ionic strength I of the solution. As the ionic strength of the solution depends on the salts dissolved in it, irrespective of whether the salts take part in the given reaction or not. As the ionic strength depends on the salts in it, and the rate constant depends on the ionic strength. So, above relation means the rate constant of an ionic reaction in a solution significantly depends on the presence of any salts dissolved in it. Therefore, this effect is called the kinetic salt effect, or more specifically, this sort of variation due to unreactive salts, the variation occurring just due to presence of salts through the activity coefficient changing of the activity coefficients. This sort of variation directly, because it is a salt, it is the rate constant differs. This sort of variation is called primary kinetic salt effect. It's also generally called kinetic salt effect. So Levine says it is primary kinetic salt effect, and there is also some secondary kinetic salt effect which we'll learn, which is in addition to primary kinetic salt effect, a secondary kinetic salt effect is sometimes observable. Let us now see the particular example. Persulfate and iodide, S2O8 2 minus and I minus. These two reacts together, and 1 together they react, forming a collision as per in the TST theory. And so these two ions, one with a charge -2 and another persulfate ion with a charge -2 and iodide ion with a charge -1, they react. So Za is equal to -2, Zb is equal to -1. Accordingly, ZaZb product is +2 ZaZb. So we have a relation log of K2 is equal to log of K2 naught into 2 into ZaZb, which is +2 into constant A into square root of I, square root of ionic strength. So if we introduce in this reaction, if we introduce the salt magnesium nitrate dissolved in this reaction medium, so with no magnesium nitrate, with less magnesium nitrate, with moderate magnesium nitrate, with more magnesium nitrate, if we see how the rate of this reaction between persulfate and iodide changes or not, we will see that it greatly changes, it greatly increases. The reaction between persulfate and iodide greatly increases with the, because this ZaZb product is positive. As per this relation, log of K2 is equal to log of K2 naught plus 2 ZaZb A square root of I. This will be greatly changed. This is primary kinetic salt effect, and we can see this variation log of K2 versus square root of I. If we plot, if we see log of K2 is equal to some constant log of K2 naught, which is you can talk as C, plus 2 ZaZb A into square root of I. So if we plot log of K2 versus square root of I, we'll get a linear plot, an increasing linear plot, increasing linear plot with a M is equal to 2 ZaZb A. And then if in case of reactions between opposing charges, same opposing sign charges, Za, Zb is Za and Zb are opposite values, opposite signs. One is +2, one is -1. Suppose if we have such a situation, then this M value, the slope of this curve log of K2 versus square root of I, that slope M will be negative. So there will be a decreasing curve of log of K2 versus. In practice, however, we do what? Log of K2 by K2 naught. The log of K2 minus log of K2 naught, we combine together, we call it log of K2 by K2 naught versus square root of I, we plot. This gives the plot given in Atkins' book, which I have reproduced here. Now, what is secondary kinetic effect is that if here in primary kinetic salt effect, we see that the added salt does not influence the concentration. It doesn't directly react with the reactant. Does not change the concentration of the reactant. The added salt, suppose magnesium nitrate, has no reaction to be done with persulfate ion or iodide ion. So in such cases, we have the primary kinetic salt effect. However, if additional influences are there due to some reaction between the reactant and the added salt, if there is a chemical interaction between them, then there will be additional change in the rate of the reaction. some additional change. This additional change in the rate of the reaction due to presence of a added salt which have some reaction with the reacting ions. This is called secondary kinetic salt effect. Suppose in a situation we have hydroxide ion, OH minus ion. Suppose saponification of ethyl acetate. Saponification of ethyl acetate. Ethyl acetate ester will react with hydroxide ion of sodium hydroxide. Hydroxide ion and ethyl acetate will react together. In that case, if we add sodium acetate, then sodium acetate, because of hydrolysis, it will slightly produce some OH minus ions. So OH minus ions will come not only from the sodium hydroxide but also from sodium acetate. So if from the added salt a reactant comes, or a reactant is consumed by the added salt, then in that case there will be additional change, and that we will call secondary kinetic salt effect. However, secondary kinetic salt effect is not necessary in degree level, most probably, as is not given in the syllabus, but it mentioned in the MSc syllabus. So degree syllabus, degree course, you particularly become concerned about primary kinetic salt effect and be ready to do problems on primary kinetic salt effect. Just the concept of secondary kinetic salt effect might be important. In some question might come someday, I don't know. Then in MSc level, there is also, we need to know about the solvent, effect of solvent. Effect of solvent, this is particularly important for non-ionic reactions. If non-ionic reactions, if the reactants are not ionic, such as there is given an example of elementary reaction, trimethyl CH3 trimethyl methane, chloromethane. It gives you the trimethyl cation and Cl minus ion in aqueous ethanol. For this reaction, for such reactions, non-ionic reactions, we need to consider the entropy and the enthalpy of the activation process. There will come across an equation similar to the TST of gases, TST theory of gas. We come across an equation K2 is equal to KT by H divided by C naught into exponential of entropy of standard entropy of activation del S naught by R into exponential of standard enthalpy of activation minus del H naught by RT. So in that case, for non-ionic reactions, this del S naught is greatly influenced by the solvent. In this case of trimethyl chloromethane, we see that the highly polar transition state produces a high degree of ordering in the surrounding solvent, and so in this case the solvent. In this case, there is a solvent greatly affects and gives the entropy of standard entropy of activation becomes negative. So such sort of influences are there. So you see these two problems and try to solve these two problems yourself. This second is a numerical problem. First is a conceptual problem. The answers are given. You try to correctly solve them. Okay, in